that you can find in Egypt. As their style evolves, they get more precise, just like we see in Egypt again. Then, just to mess with you, they put.
What does Jesus mean and amen mean? Jesus is Jesus. Hail Zeus. Right? Jesus. Hail Zeus. Zeus is a thunder god. Amen is Amen or Amun. Amun Ra, which is the sun god. The Pope wears the fish head with the eye on the side. That's Dagon, which is a Sumerian sea god. So, yeah. Thought you guys weren't fucking pagans or whatever. Heathens. We got thunder gods.
Both techniques in these random rocks that there you can find all over the landscape, just like in Japan. That is a 9,000 mile coincidence across the largest.
It's because everybody that lives in this ring of fire. So this is a ring of fire right here, guys. From the Pacific Ocean, that's a ring right there. There's a ring of fire. There's tectonic plate where the Pacific Ocean is, and it goes down the west coast of North and South America, the east coast of Australia and Asia. There's a line of volcanoes and tectonic plates, right? So this is the ring of fire, and everywhere from north to south, they got. Let's go. North America, you got the Uktana or the horned serpent, right? Central, you got Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan. Further south, you got the Amaru. Australia, you got the rainbow serpent. Asia, you got the red dragon. So you got serpent and snake worship all around the ring of fire. Get it? So the red man is the original inhabitant of Earth. White people and black people came after us. They haven't seen the Ice Age yet. They haven't. This is what I mean. They haven't even seen the Ice Age yet. That was the second world. They didn't come to the third and the fourth world. Everybody that has been here, they have our stories and our teachings. So I'm going to list all the groups that are the original humans of the planet. Are you ready? The Native Americans, the Eskimos, the Asians, the Mexicans, the Caribbean, the South Americans, the Aboriginals, the Polynesians, the Hindus, the Indonesians, the Middle Easterners, the Egyptians, the Polynesians, Samoans, Tongans, Hawaiians, Oceanic people, Cambodians, and Indonesians. Did I say Hindus? But those are all the original people of the planet. Everybody else is mutations of one of those groups. That's the red man right there. Anywhere where there's pyramids, anywhere where there's mounds, our people built it. Not the white man, not the black man, the red man. That's why everywhere where there's pyramids and mounds, a face that looks like this lives there and built it at all four corners of the earth. That's why we all wear our hair long. That's why we all wear the mohawk. That's why we all have the patch of hair in the back. That's why we all have serpent and snake worship or dragon worship in our culture. That's why we got some of the same stories and some of the same teachings. If you listen to Native American creation stories, you would hear all four corners of the. If you listen and sat to any Native American creation story, you are going to hear every culture on the planet in Native American creation stories. Our teachings and our knowledge is the foundation to modern day science. Indigenous teachings. Indigenous means original, the first. If we came from everybody else, why would they call us indigenous? Why would they call us natives? Why would they call us naturals? Why would they say we're chosen? Why would they say we are First Nations? Why? Why would our haplogroups be A, B, C, D, the first four letters of the alphabet, if we came from everybody else? That's crazy, yo. Asians are just Native Americans that walked out of the Americas. The migration happened in reverse. Everybody descends from a red man. Everybody. White people, black people. Look up the ancient Europeans and the ancient Africans. They look like this. The original man was not black or white, and neither was Jesus. The one that built the pyramids at all four corners looked like this. And the mounds. So I'm going to list all the groups of the original humans of the planet again. Native Americans, Eskimos, Asians, Mexicans, Caribbean, South Americans, Aboriginals, Polynesians, Hindus, Indians, Middle Easterners, Egyptians, Samoans, Tongans, Hawaiians, Cambodians, Indonesians, and the American Indian. Those are all the original humans of the fucking planet. That's one people right there. That is the red man. Just so you know. They don't want you to know this as an indigenous person. They have put it in, planted seeds in our heads to make us be ashamed of our relatives. We are all related, yo. They want you, they teach us Western knowledge and Western teachings. They don't want you to know any Eastern teachings, is because there's truth in their stuff. They've enslaved us, yo. They've enslaved us. They couldn't enslave us physically how they did the Africans, but they're trying to enslave us spiritually. And it's working. We're prisoners of war. They were slaves. I don't know why they're saying they were prisoners of war. No, you guys were fucking slaves, sold by your own kind. We were prisoners of war. The war is still not over. It's still not over. We've been at war since 1492. World War. World War. Do you know how many nations it took to defeat us? I don't know why. Listen, I think it's so funny how African Americans try to steal our story. They say all these nations, it took to 6 or 7 nations it took to defeat them. No, your own fucking people sold you out. Your own kind sold you out to the white people. White people didn't go over there and catch y'all. Your own people fucking caught y'all, probably in the middle of the night while you were sleeping, and sold you to the white people for pennies on the dollar. It took nations from all 4 corners of the world to try to beat my people. And they still can't beat my people. We still speak our languages. We're still in our lands. We still got our lands. They're giving our lands back. We still got our culture, and we still got our pride. I'm so proud to be indigenous, to be Seneca. I fucking love being Seneca. I love being indigenous. You know why? Before, natives weren't getting recognition, but for some reason in 2019, everybody and their grandma all of a sudden wanted to be us. And you know what it is? It's because the natives started getting online. Natives started being in the spotlight. And then they saw us and they were infatuated. That's a Native American? Yeah, that's what I am. That's what I am. Yeah, I'm that. Come on, y'all. Make it make sense. None of them wanted to be Native American until they saw real fucking Native Americans online, yo. Native American is not a race. You're right. It's not. That's a title. Ongwehume is. You are not that. You are not original. You are not real. If you can trace your lineage back to Adam and Eve, I am sorry, that is not real, yo. They took our story of being made from clay and added it to their creation and try to legitimize it. Because the story of being made from red clay is at all 4 corners. Their creation was 6,000 years ago. They're the newest. Black people mutated to look like how they look now. You think everybody used to have woolly hair and was fucking purple? And then their hair straightened out and their lips and noses got smaller. And they became smarter, and they got lighter, and they what? You think that's how it happened? You gotta be dumb to think that's how it happened. This is how it happened. Life started in the Americas. The original race is the red race. Asians are just Native Americans that walked out of the Americas. The migration happened in reverse, right? The oldest bones, the oldest water, the oldest forest, the oldest fossils, right? The oldest everything is found here in the Americas. They just hide this from you guys because they don't want to have to rewrite the history books. And plus, they don't want you knowing the fucking truth. If you knew the truth, you would fuck up their chances of getting into heaven. And there's not 9 billion people on the planet. So what race is Native American? Red. Actually, technically speaking, anybody born in America is a Native American. That's why our legal title and political title and official title will never ever say Native American, because that's not what we are. We are Indigenous Americans, American Indian. That is what is on our birth certificates. That's what's on our treaties. You're a Native American if you were born here. I'm a Native American. I was born here. Not Indigenous American, no. You weren't. Not what I am. Come on. Not a race. Listen, bro. You're acting like the white people. They used to say y'all weren't even human. So, you're no better, bro.
Luckily, the Spanish
Somebody take this trash out. Hold on. We're going to have to... Hold on. The trash is piling up. My, Jeet spray. Thank you. Yeah, trash is piling up.
Church over their last remnants of it after they realized that they couldn't burn stones like they did books or people. And now we can gaze upon them forever. After they killed Tupac, Villabamba was lost to history, then rediscovered in 1911. That's probably why you haven't heard of it. But thanks to the internet, sites like this are popping up every day. It's a great time to remember your roots. We may have just solved one of the strangest ancient mysteries in all of ancient history, which is, how did builders back in the day get the stones to fit together like this? It's called polygonal masonry, and it's way stranger than you think. It is the only reason why Machu Picchu is able to survive between 2 fault lines. The stones actually guide the force of an earthquake through the whole building, through the strange angles and curves. Brick and mortar buildings are literally begging to be destroyed. The earthquake can travel in a straight line through the building, through the weakest points in the mortar. The joints in this style of building fit together so well you can barely see them sometimes. Some even have these little fuse stones. If the force was too great, instead of the big blocks cracking, these would explode, allowing the building to shift a little bit. Now what you're seeing here is graphite going through a chemical reaction, forming a Rayleigh-Benard pattern. In fluid dynamics, a less dense fluid can shape a more dense fluid if it's heated up, forming these cellular patterns and even the little fuse stone. It's tough though. Wouldn't it just be easier to pour some liquid stone into a container and pave like we do? Both of these are great explanations and look just like this, but there is one enormous problem. Stones, like the ones in Peru, are so big they don't make sense. This chemical reaction is very small, and although we see it in nature, it's often only volcanic rock, which these are. Diorite is one of the hardest stones to carve on Earth, yet it shows signs of melting. Not only melting, but bending. We also know the quarries that they came from. And in places like Aswan, there's an abandoned obelisk with evidence of a scooping tool of some sort. But then you gotta move it in place. MIT used poured concrete and special molds that calculated the center of gravity of these stones so that they could be moved easily. On a flat lab floor, Machu Picchu is on a mountain. That stone is square, and we clearly forgot how to do this. The final form of this rock bending can be seen.
This is the Sumerian creation story.
We're here in Hollywood at the LA Film School campus. Let me show you our pro spaces where our students work.
The Sumerian creation story does not end with the earth being made. It ends with a warning. The tablets describe a massive planet on a long elliptical orbit. It came in from the outer solar system, collided with another planet, and that collision formed the Earth, the asteroid belt, and the moon. All of it from one impact.
It was called Tiamat. And Earth is just a section of Tiamat. That's why if you were to take the water off of Earth, it wouldn't be a perfect circle. It's gonna look like a rock. Like a fucking jagged, fucking obtuse, weirdly shaped rock, yo. It's not a perfect circle. It's just a piece of a planet, yo.
Then the planet continued on its orbit, out past everything, into the dark. But here is the thing the textbooks leave out. The tablets say it comes back. Every time it does, the outer planets are pulled off their predicted paths. The Sumerians had a specific word for this. They called it wandering. They were explicit. When the outer planets start to wander, that is the trigger, and that is when the cycle enters its next phase. In 2016, 2 astronomers at Caltech published a paper showing that the outer planets are wandering, not metaphorically, not approximately. The orbital paths of...
So Suzanne asked, did the Mayans have a different calendar and different timeline? They definitely had multiple calendars happening at the same time to keep track of the return of the ancestors, the next reset, to know what time, day and age they were, the next lunar eclipse. They had many reasons to keep track of time, but a different timeline? Yeah, for sure. They say they have a whole different history. This is the truth. I don't believe what they put out. I believe indigenous people's history over the white man's history. Indigenous people are older than the white man.
Objects beyond Neptune are being pulled in a direction they should not be. Something large is out there, something on a long elliptical orbit. It is something the Sumerians described 5,000 years ago, and the astronomers confirmed with a calculation that has a 0.007% chance of being wrong. I have spent a long time with these tablets. The further you read, the harder it gets to call this mythology. The Enuma Elish is the oldest written cosmology we have. 7 clay tablets, about 1,000 lines of cuneiform, recovered from a royal library at Nineveh in the 19th century, and sitting in the British Museum ever since. Every history class that mentions it calls it a creation myth. Ancient people explaining the world before science could do it for them. The problem with that is the level of detail. Myths do not describe gravitational influence. They do not name specific planets and their positions. They do not describe a collision where one body splits in two, one half forming the Earth, and the other becoming the debris field between Mars and Jupiter. That is not a myth. That is an impact event. The tablets describe a planet called Nibiru. It enters the solar system from outside on an elliptical orbit. As it moves inward, 2 larger planets bend its path, Saturn and Jupiter, named by their Sumerian equivalents. Then Nibiru collides with Tiamat, a planet that once existed between Mars and Jupiter.
Tiamat. Why can't this guy pronounce the names right? I'm not even from there.
Tiamat splits. Half is pushed into a new orbit and becomes the Earth. Half shatters and becomes what the tablets call the Great Band. We call it the asteroid belt. Tiamat's largest satellite gets caught in the dynamics of the collision and ends up orbiting the new Earth. We call it the Moon. NASA and mainstream planetary science have a model for how Earth and the Moon formed. It is called the Giant Impact Hypothesis. A Mars-sized body struck proto-Earth, the debris coalesced into the Moon, and the asteroid belt formed from a destroyed body. This model was proposed in the 1970s. The Sumerians wrote their version at least 3,000 years earlier. And the asteroid belt fits the description in a way that is hard to ignore. Scientists have studied its composition for decades. The inner and outer regions have different chemical signatures, consistent with debris from 2 separate bodies mixing together, not material that simply never coalesced into a planet. The largest fragments, Ceres and Vesta, show evidence of differentiated interiors, layered geology that only forms inside a body large enough to generate its own internal heat. These are pieces of something that was once a planet. The tablet said Tiamat was destroyed. The belt's composition says the same thing in geological language. That's not what most people focus on when they read these tablets, because the creation event, as extraordinary as it is not the part the Sumerians seemed most concerned about preserving. What concerned them was what comes after. Nibiru does not disappear after the collision. The tablets are clear about this. The planet continues on its orbit outward into the deep solar system and back. The Sumerian name for it, the crossing point, is not a historical label. It is a description of ongoing behavior, the planet that marks the crossing every time it crosses. Tablet 5 of the Enuma Elish describes what happens during Nibiru's return. Most of this tablet is destroyed. The section covering what occurs during the active crossing is in the fragment that has not been recovered. I will come back to that. But what does survive is specific enough to work with. During Nibiru's crossing, the outer planets wander from their stations. That's the language, wander from their stations. In Sumerian astronomical texts, this is technical vocabulary. A planet wandering means it is deviating from its predicted position, moving off course, being pulled by something. The MUL.APIN, a Babylonian star catalog built on even older Sumerian observations, records that when Nibiru appears in a particular position in the night sky, it marks what the text calls a period of great disturbance in the heavens and on the earth. The outer planets wander, seismic activity increases, the tides behave unusually.
Thank you for the gifts, guys.
Something worth knowing about the MUL.APIN is that it documents continuous sky observations spanning at least 500 years before it was compiled. The Sumerians were not casual stargazers. They were systematic. They tracked the same stars over generations, recorded deviations, and built predictive tables. If Nibiru's orbital period is approximately 3,600 years, and the Sumerians had been rigorously recording the sky for centuries before the Enuma Elish was written, there is a realistic possibility they witnessed one approach. Not the catastrophic collision that formed the Earth, that was billions of years ago, but the wandering, the gravitational pulling, the disturbance that precedes a crossing. If they saw it happen once, they would have written it down. And they did. Not the end of the world. That's not what the tablets describe for these periodic crossings. The catastrophic event, the one that formed the Earth, was a specific pass. Nibiru, at maximum energy, hit a specific target that no longer exists.
You sound so native.
That configuration does not repeat. What repeats is disturbance. And the sign that it is beginning is the wandering. So when do the outer planets start to wander? Konstantin Batygin and Michael Brown are planetary scientists at Caltech. In 2016, they published a paper that quietly unsettled a lot of people in the field. They had been studying extreme trans-Neptunian objects, bodies in the outer solar system, with orbital periods of thousands of years. The orbits of these objects should be randomly distributed. No particular direction, no clustering, just scattered across the sky the way you would expect if nothing unusual was influencing them. They were clustered. 6 of the objects had their orbits aligned in the same direction, all being pulled the same way. The probability that this happens by chance is 0.007%. The only explanation that fits is a large, undetected planet on a highly elliptical orbit, approximately 10 times Earth's mass, somewhere in the outer solar system. Its gravity is pulling these objects off their natural paths, causing their orbits to deviate from where they should be. Wandering from their stations, Batygin and Brown named this hypothetical planet Planet 9. They calculated its mass, its approximate orbital distance, and the region of sky where it should be. In 2024, they published again with updated data, 13 objects now instead of 6. The effect was still there, still pointing to the same cause. In early 2025, astronomers reported another Sedna-like object whose orbit filled a gap in the previous data, pushing Planet 9's likely position to a more remote part of the solar system. More objects, same signal. The evidence keeps accumulating. Right now, the Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile is running the most comprehensive sky survey ever attempted. It started in 2024. If Planet 9 is on the orbital path the papers calculate, this telescope should find it. The results are still coming in. The planet has not been officially confirmed.
The digital life. It can get a little weird these days. That's why we built WebRoot's all-in-one protection, so you're safe for every moment of it with antivirus protection.
But the wandering has been. What Batygin and Brown measured in 2016 is exactly what the Mulapin star catalog describes as the opening condition, the outer bodies pulling away from their predicted paths, the sign that Nibiru is approaching its crossing position. The tablets do not say Earth gets destroyed on Nibiru's next pass. That is not what they describe. Next pass.
Look at this guy, he's got two faces. That guy's butt-ass naked. Look at his hair. He got real big eyes, too. He got two faces, though. What up?
That is not what they describe. What destroyed the previous planet, Tiamat, was one specific event, a direct high-energy collision.
Oh, yeah.
The inner solar...
So they say there's 7 heavens, there's 7 planets, but there's one hell, the sun. That's why they say when you die, don't go towards the light, because the light is the sun. When you die, your spirit comes up, right? Like in the cartoons. And then it starts going up towards the sky, right? You got to go through the 7 heavens. And the 7 heavens are the planets. Hell, they say don't go towards the light. Hell is a planet. It's the sun.
The system was configured differently then. Tiamat was there. It is not anymore. The conditions that produced that collision do not exist to be repeated. What the tablets describe for subsequent crossings is exactly what Badigan and Brown measured: gravitational disturbance of the outer solar system. The inner solar system feels it too, in smaller ways. Increased seismic activity, unusual tidal behavior, atmospheric disruption. Significant, but not extinction level. So why does this matter? Because if the Sumerians correctly described Planet 9's existence 5,000 years before we detected its gravitational fingerprint, and the match between the orbital mechanics in the tablets and the 2016 paper is specific enough that it is...
We have our own signs, yo. Our own star signs, yo. Look at this shit. We got our own star signs. That was... What he just showed right there was some... That's like some Greek and Roman shit right there. We got our own star signs. We got the Naguite Gowa. We got the Naguite. We got the 300s. We got the 7 dancers. That's Pleiades. We got the Great Sky Road. We knew about wormholes and black holes before Albert Einstein even knew. So the sun is like a portal to things that come out of the sun. I seen that kid's video. That kid don't know what he's talking about. That, no, it's not a portal. Those are solar flares on the sun. Sun is a planet. It's hell. That's hell. That's why they say don't go towards the light, because you're going towards hell. It's not a portal. It's a hell planet. That's if you look up how they describe hell, that's what it would look like. And if you look at how they put the stuff in the truth in the movies and cartoons, when you pass away, they say your spirit comes up like a ghost, like in the movies and in the cartoons, right? Sometimes in the movies it starts floating up right away, right? So don't go towards the light. You got to go through 7 heavens, the 7 planets. And I got a picture of that too. Hold on. We'll get there. What if the light is another birth and you're coming out of the woman again? They say it's a prison planet. They say it's a prison planet and that we're getting recycled anyway. Do you really want to come back here? I'm doing well. Okay, look. There's 22 realms. Or levels. Or layers. There's 22. There's 9 underworlds and 9 heavens, right? 9 underworlds and 9 heavens, and then 4 intermediate levels, the one we're on. or what is it? 13 heavens? No, it's 13 heavens, 9 underworlds, and there's not we're in heaven now, I guess, allegedly. Right? There's bus stops and bills in heaven. We're already in heaven, yo. There's jail in heaven and all that. Yes, this is heaven. You made it. You made it. There's bills and bus stops and crime and yep. Oh shit, I thought my shit. Anyway, look, crossing the river of 9 levels of the underworld. Aztecs believe, with some exceptions, the dead had to travel for 4 years through 9 distinct levels to reach the final rest of Mictlan. Right? So crossing the river of 8 waters with the dog guy. That's Anubis. Dog of the underworld. Right? Anubis. Egypt. Like I said, you can find our culture in all culture from all 4 corners. It's because the red man is the original inhabitant of the planet. And I don't mean to be like, oh, you come from me, but you do. The red man, look at the ancient Europeans. They're starting to put feathers in their hair and shit. They're trying to put the truth in your face. Look up the ancient Africans. They look like us. Everybody looked like us. They mutated. They mutated to their environment. White people got banished to the middle of the earth. And they lost their skin color, yo. They lost their skin color. They went into hiding. They got banished, yo. And they came to the surface 6,000 years ago. Black people came in the 3rd age. They mixed with the Atlantean monkey people. That's why they're 20% ghost ancestor. They're only 80% Homo sapien. And the Homo sapien that they come, so that's where, okay. I'm gonna have to show you guys some shit. But let's finish reading this. I don't want to get distracted. That's another thing. They're trying to distract us. Alright. Okay. Sorry me if I butcher these names, but Tepetlikpak. It's the place where the hills are found. Oh. Onondaga territory, huh? No, I'm just kidding. The Obsidian Mountain. Oh, the Great Mountain. People of the Great Mountain. That's okay. Where the hills are found. Okay, this would be Onondaga, where the place are found. People of the hills. Number 3 would be Seneca, the Obsidian Mountain, the Great Mountain, the Great Hill people, the Big Hill people, the Great Mountain people. Onondaga. Come on. The place of the freezing obsidian wind. That's a good one. The place of the freezing obsidian wind. Oh, so hell is cold? Underworld is cold? The place where banners are raised. Flags? They put a dark native from Eastern Ireland inside a kid and she loses her native color and comes out white. What? Yo, that makes sense though. Okay, so I was looking at my head shape. Us natives, I think our ancestors were pointy heads down South America, yo. I was looking at my head shape. Yeah, yo. Our shit is like, you know? A lot of other people's shit goes like this. Ours is like, and what I'm saying is like, you'll see. I was looking at my head shape, yo. Yeah, yo, come on. What's the average IQ for Native Americans? Higher than Black Americans. Stay up experiment is true. I know. I don't know. You hear about the story. It's lower. Then why would you ask if you already know the answer? I highly doubt it's lower. But yeah, yo, our head shape. My head shape. Look at my head shape, y'all. 70 IQ. Yo, somebody get M Ram in here. They're always in here hating, yo. Get them out of here. Did they graduate high school? They don't graduate. Get this person out of here, yo. I don't want them learning from me. Thank you. They're in here trying to steal content. Like, you guys got your own fucking culture. Go learn it. Where's the roach spray? I ran out of roach spray. Okay. Yeah, yo. If you're native, is your head more round or is your head a little bit more pointy? You know what? I do have pictures of me when I had a buzz cut. My head kind of do look like pointy like that, yo. I'm not even kidding. Kind of got a pointy head. Yo, this is some straight up aliens, yo. Come on, yo. That's not from head wrapping. They got more brain room. Yo, your brain gets bigger too. Mine doesn't look like that. No, I know mine don't look like that. I'm not saying it looks like that, but I'm saying that we got a shape to our skull, yo. Every skull, we are a different species, yo. I'm telling you, if your bones are different, you're of a different species. Our bones are fucking different. I never thought about the brain room. Yeah, yo, they got bigger brains. Look at that shit. These were the ones that were teaching them everything about the stars and all that. These guys were doing open brain surgery. There's one of these with a fucking microchip in his fucking brain. It looks like the Tesla chip or whatever. Practice skull conspiracy. DNA test. Let's check this out.
Paracas skull, number 44. Discovered in 2012.
Where's his red hair?
It has a weight of 2.8 pounds, 25% heavier than the average adult male's.
He's got the protruding bite coming out like right here at his mouth, how it sticks out. That's Native American feature.
Skull. It has a cranial capacity of 1,500 cubic centimeters, 20% greater than normal.
All right.
And it is missing a sagittal suture, the connective tissue joint found between the parietal bones in all human skulls. This is just one of hundreds of strange, misshapen skulls that have been found on the southern coast of Peru, dating.
See this one right here on the end, all the way to the right in the middle? That's kind of like what mine looks like. I'm not trying to say I got a real fucking long, elongated skull, but my forehead goes back like that. My shit don't go straight up. Yo, it's got curve to it, yo. You see what I mean? I got curve that go back.
Back to 1927. It was at this time that archaeologist Julio Teo first excavated a massive burial complex
Looks native.
thought to have been built by the Paracas people who lived in the region from 800 BC to 100 BC.
During the time of Jesus.
Julio Teo was the father of Peruvian archaeology. And in the 1920s, he discovered
They did him dirty with that one, yo. Yo, I know that our eyes get like that, but he looks like Kim Jong-un. Yo. See how they are to us, yo? They did that on purpose, yo. He looks like Kim Jong-il or something.
mummy bundles.
Just put some glasses on him.
And in each mummy bundle was a person with an elongated skull. They were buried in family mausoleums, in some cases as deep as 30 feet into the bedrock.
Mainstream archaeologists say the elongation is most likely the result of head binding,
No.
which involves
Head. Okay, so they compared skulls that were head binded. People that have when a normal person, they have 3 plates on their skull. So your head can cranially deform as you're being born. Your head deforms so you can come out your mom. You have 3 plates, soft plates on your skull that harden as you get older. These skulls only have 2 plates. They do not have the 3rd plate. And they found baby Paracas skulls already like this with only 2 plates.
wrapping the heads of infants while their skulls are still soft in order to change the shape. It is a practice found in numerous cultures throughout the world that dates back.
See, that's what our people did. Every type of body modification from gauges, nose piercing, lip piercing, eyebrow piercing, face tats, all of it. Elongating the skull, probably even split the tongue.
Thousands of years. But why would people desire to elongate the heads of their children?
That looks like a cradle board.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that head binding originated with primitive humans who were attempting to imitate the appearance of extraterrestrial visitors. But according to researcher Brian Forster, the assistant director of the Paracas History Museum, head binding would not account for the other anomalies that the Paracas skulls exhibit.
About 5% of the elongated skulls that we find in Paracas are so complex in shape and size that it's hard to believe that they're the result of any form of cranial deformation or head binding.
They were born this way.
Not only are they elongated vertically, but also the eye sockets are much larger than normal. There are 2 holes in the back of the skull, called foramen, through which blood and nerve flow occurred, and also their jaws were very robust.
I bet you they had fucking antennas sticking out of those holes right there. Not even kidding you.
And among the largest of them, we find skulls 60% heavier than normal human skulls and a brain capacity that is 2.5 times larger than the normal human brain.
See, that's what I'm saying. What the fuck?
But if these elongated
It looks like you got a toupee on.
skulls were not the result of the ancient practice of head binding, then just who or what were these mysterious beings?
Our ancestors.
In 2014, DNA testing was performed on Paracas skull number 44, which rendered surprising results.
Some initial DNA testing has been done, and the results, according to the geneticist, are quite startling. There were certain segments of the DNA that didn't match anything known to be human.
Yeah.
What it suggests to me is that Paracas could very well have been an ancient bloodline related to Homo sapiens, but not specifically Homo sapiens itself.
That's what I'm saying, yo. We are not the same, yo. We are not the same.
When you look at this kind of archaeological
This guy just died,
evidence,
yo. This is the guy that actually just passed away or something, or he's missing. This guy right here on the screen, Yeah, yo, this guy talked about something he wasn't supposed to, and now he's missing.
You're seeing concrete, tangible, DNA testable proof that extraterrestrials walked on Earth right among us.
They still are. The fuck? The fuck, bro? They still are. What are you talking about? So we're gonna talk. I gotta keep this like this though for now. But we're gonna talk, all right? So these skulls, it's funny because Elijah Muhammad Ali or whatever the fuck that started the Moorish Temple of Science wrote a racist book called The Story of Creation of the White People. Basically to counter the Anunnaki story of them being made by pale-skinned, hairy people that made them to be the slave race to mine gold and blah, 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 right? So that's what they made that story to counter that story. Basically saying that a black-skinned race from the middle of the planet, which doesn't make sense. Why would they be black if they lived in the middle of the planet when there's no sun? Unless they're getting a tan from a black hole sun. That may explain the black melanin, but that's not even a real story. That guy took pieces of actual history and throw it all into one story. Like the Paracas skulls, he used these people. So Yaqub's mother was one of these. Hold on. What the fuck is this? Hindus, okay. That's their story of Yaqub right here. But anyway, this is his family right there. Let's see. That's his family. And Yaqub is the one in the middle down there. He's got two brains. He's actually the guy with that real big head. He looks Somali. But look at the ones on the left. You see the tarot is what they call them in this book. Yeah, the big-headed scientist, Yaqub. Hold on. Let's just watch it.
With Base 44, a simple sentence becomes your website.
Thousands of years ago, on this planet we call Earth, our planet was visited by various groups of extraterrestrial humanoid beings. These extraterrestrial humanoid beings had to leave their planet and seek refuge here on Earth because their home planet had been destroyed by evil. When these extraterrestrial humanoid beings arrived on Earth, they chose to take residence inside the center of the Earth, because the surface of the Earth was inhabited by human beings. At this point in time in Earth's history, the human beings who lived on the surface of the Earth were all of one tribe, the Ebenoid tribe. Since they live inside the Earth, these extraterrestrial beings have now become interterrestrial beings. The center of the Earth where these interterrestrial beings reside also contains an inner sun. The inner Earth has been called by a variety of names by cultures around the world, including Shambhala by Buddhist, Agartha by Tibetans, Kurnuji by the ancient Mesopotamians, the Duat or Aminta by the ancient Egyptians, Hades or the underworld by Europeans, Xibalba by the Mayans, and in modern times, the concept of the inner Earth has given rise to what is called the hollow Earth theory. Unbeknownst to many human beings, the activities of these beings which reside inside the Earth has affected the course of human history and human development. The first and most noble of the beings which resides inside the Earth is called the Shayuk. Compared to human beings, the Shayuk would be considered geniuses with exceptional intelligence, and telepathic and telekinetic abilities. The Shayuk have a dark brown skin complexion, they are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall, and their heads, brains, and cranial capacity is much wider and larger than the average human. The Shayuk come to the Earth's surface occasionally to teach and to trade with certain tribes of human beings. The teachings of the Shayuk are so profound that when they come to the Earth's surface to teach, they are often called deities, gods, priests, prophets, messengers, and seers, and because of this fact, the Shayuk have strict laws which limit the interaction of Shayuk tribal members' contact with the humans on the surface. The Shayuk commonly interact and have mixed in with the surface world humans called the Danakil or Danakil, also known as the Afar people, in present-day Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The chief of the Shayuk is named King Fuelkor, and his daughter is named Princess Radiya, and two of his brothers are named Amo and Yishak, who has always been jealous of his brother King Fuelkor. King Fuelkor's brother Amo had fallen in love with a surface-dwelling human female, and he would sneak to the surface world to visit her, and would also pass himself off to the surface-dwelling humans as a psychic and a magician, and for these acts, Amo was exiled to live on the surface, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. As long as the people in the inner earth spent most of their life in the inner earth, then they will not die. However, to be exiled to the surface world means a person from inner earth will eventually die like the mortals on the surface. In the caverns adjacent to the Shayuk, resides another group of nobles called the Sinin. The Sinin are also highly intelligent, but also have a fighting spirit. The Sinin are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall and have a variety of complexions from yellow to brown, and they are hairless and are most noted for their cone-shaped heads. The Sinin commonly interact and have mixed with surface world humans including the ancient Egyptians, the Olmecs in present-day Central America, the Mangitog people in the African Congo, and the Paracas people in Peru. The chief of the Sinin is named King Lamsa, and his daughter is named Princess Lucina, and his son is named Prince Atif. One of the wretched group of beings which resides inside the earth is called the Samin.
Notice how they look like natives, though?
The Samin are grotesquely obese, pale, with long elephant-like noses, and are very negative and aggressive.
Ew.
The Samin were actually the manifested evil grafted out of the Sinin on their home world prior to these beings arriving on Earth.
So I've known these ones to be the Darrow and the ones on the left the Tarot.
Since the Samin were grafted out of the Sinin, it is the responsibility of the Sinin to police and keep in check the evil activities of the Samin. It is said that an American named Richard Sharpshaver encountered the Sinin and called them the Turos, meaning interrogative robot, and he also encountered the Samin and called them Duros, meaning detrimental robot. One day, the wretched Samin raided and invaded the village of the Shayuk, stealing food and terrorizing the Shayuk family. When King Fuelkor found out about this invasion by the Samin, he sent a telepathic message to King Lamsa stating that the Sinin has neglected their responsibility to keep the Samin in check, because the Samin were currently raiding and invading the village of the Shayuk. Upon receiving the telepathic message from King Fuelkor, King Lamsa went with his brethren to the caverns of the Shayuk to stop the invasion by the Samin and to drive the Samin back to whence they came. After driving the Samin away from the lands of the Shayuk, King Lamsa apologized to King Fuelkor, but tension remained between the Shayuk and the Sinin for some time after the incident. In order to make peace between the Shayuk and the Sinin, King Lamsa offered his daughter Princess Lucina to be a wife of King Fuelkor. King Fuelkor accepted the peace offering from King Lamsa, and in turn offered his daughter Princess Radiya to be the wife of King Lamsa's son Prince Atif, as was the custom, and there was peace in the land for some time between the two tribes of the Shayuk and the Sinin. However, King Lamsa's daughter Princess Lucina was angered and outraged because she did not want her father to give her away to be the wife of the Shayuk King Fuelkor. Princess Lucina felt like an outcast and out of place living amongst the Shayuk people, and she did not like living by the strict laws of the Shayuk people. Princess Lucina always wanted to marry a man from her own people the Sinin, and she did not want to be married to a Shayuk man. One day Princess Lucina, now the unhappy wife of King Fuelkor, met Yishak, the jealous brother of King Fuelkor, and they conspired together based on their hatred for King Fuelkor to have an illicit sexual affair together behind the back of King Fuelkor. Princess Lucina and Yishak would travel to the surface world to the home of Emo, the exiled brother of King Fuelkor and Yishak, and it is here where they would have their illicit
You said, isn't there a Hindu god that looks like
affair.
that? Ouch!
This affair between Princess Lucina and Yishak went on for months with them sneaking back and forth from the inner earth to the surface world, and eventually Princess Lucina became pregnant. In her pregnant state, Princess Lucina would not return to the land of the inner earth, but would remain at the home of Emo, and Yishak would stay with her. It was here in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where the child Yaqub was born to Yishak and Princess Lucina. The child Yaqub, being part Shayuk and part Sinin, had an enormous head the size of 2 men, and he also had 2 brains. Knowing that they could not return to the inner earth because their affair had now produced a child, Yashak and Princess Lucina decided to live and raise the baby Yaqub for 5 years in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Yaqub's father Yashak would work as a scientist and a priest amongst the humans on the surface, calling himself by the title Mornuakan, the last high priest. Back in inner earth, Yashak and Princess Lucina had been missing for years, and eventually it was found out by King Fucor about the affair between his wife Princess Lucina and his brother Yashak.
Okay, I found something for you guys. Check this out. So, here we go. So, look at this. These are Hindu gods with the elongated head. So, lately, I've been in my Hindu phase, looking at the connections between Native Americans and different ancient cultures. There's a lot here, y'all. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some ancient connection. They got Hanuman temples, the word Maya. The Hindus have a builder god or architect, a god named Maya, and he builds pyramids. Maya also means magic in Hindu. That's who fucking what the guy that came over here and taught them how to build the pyramids and all that, that's who that is, but it's a different name. But yeah, look, these guys got 3 heads and elongated skull. Didn't we just see something like that? But let's get back over here. Anyway. This is the guy that made it. Oh,
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix, you can grab...
In 1849, British archaeologist Austin Henry Layard uncovered something that should not exist. Deep beneath the ruins of ancient Nineveh, buried under thousands of years of sand and stone, he found a clay tablet covered in cuneiform script. The tablet was cataloged, stored, and forgotten for over a century. When linguists finally translated it in the 1970s, they discovered something that made absolutely no sense. The tablet contained a detailed star chart. Not just any star chart, a map of our galaxy showing 47...
Yo, and then see the hieroglyphics? These are not just... Listen, we have symbols that look like this shit, yo. Let me show you. Look at that. We do. I found Mayan in it the other day. The other day I found Mayan in it. But yeah, yo. On. Here we go. This isn't the only one I got. But yeah, yo, I found Mayan in it, yo.
7 star systems, each one marked with a specific symbol. 46 of those symbols meant the same thing. Life exists there, but one symbol was different. One star system had a mark that translated to something far more disturbing. They came here. If you're finding this channel for the first time and ancient mysteries like this fascinate you, subscribe now. I cover suppressed archaeology, forbidden history, and the evidence mainstream academia refuses to acknowledge every single week. Don't miss what's coming next. To understand why this tablet is so impossible, you need to understand what the Sumerians were supposed to know. According to every textbook, every university course, every accepted timeline of human civilization, The Sumerians emerged around 4500 BCE in southern Mesopotamia. They invented writing, built the first cities, created complex irrigation systems, and developed early forms of mathematics and astronomy. They were advanced for their time, but they were still primitive by our standards. They had no telescopes, no satellites, no way to see beyond what the naked eye could observe from the ground, the brightest stars, the planets, the moon. That was their limit. At least, that's what we've been told. The problem is that the archaeological evidence keeps contradicting.
See that bird? Okay, see that bird with the human head? I forget where I heard it, but I heard that these were the ones that taught language to people. That they flew around the world and they taught people language. I don't know which culture says that. I don't know where I heard that before. It might even just be a download. Honestly. Look at the snake, the python with the wings though, too.
Predicting this narrative. The Sumerians didn't just track the moon and the visible planets. They knew about Uranus and Neptune, planets that can't be seen without a telescope. They described our solar system with shocking accuracy, including the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. They knew Earth was round and rotating. They calculated the length of a year to within minutes of our modern measurements. And they did all of this thousands of years before the invention of the scientific method. Mainstream archaeology.
Natives and my people, Iroquois, invented the telescope. The star pointer. It's a star pointer. We invented that.
Explains this away as coincidence, myth, or misinterpretation. But the deeper you dig into Sumerian texts, the harder that explanation becomes to accept. Because the Sumerians themselves never claimed they figured this out on their own. In their own words, repeated across thousands of clay tablets, they said the same thing over and over. The knowledge came from the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens, beings who walked among humans, taught them science, and ruled over them as gods. Modern scholars dismiss this as mythology. Primitive humans creating stories to explain natural phenomena they didn't understand. But what if the Sumerians were telling the truth? What if the reason their astronomy was impossibly advanced is because someone else gave it to them? Someone who actually knew what our galaxy looked like. Someone who had seen it. The tablet layered found in Nineveh wasn't alone. It was part of a massive collection now known as the Library of Ashurbanipal, one of the largest and most significant archaeological discoveries in history. Over 30,000 clay tablets, covering everything from administrative records to religious texts to scientific observations. Most of these tablets have been translated. Most of them match what we expect from an ancient civilization. Tablets that reference astronomical events that shouldn't have been visible. Tablets that suggest the Sumerians, or whoever taught them, knew far more than they should have. The star chart tablet is one of these anomalies. When it was first translated, researchers assumed it was symbolic. Ancient cultures often use stars to represent.
Yo, does that give you the creeps looking at it? Does it trigger your... Does that make you feel weird looking at those holes like that? It kind of does for me. I don't like it.
Represent gods, and the Sumerians were no exception. The 47 stars listed on the tablet could have been a religious cosmology, a mythological map of the heavens where different deities resided. That was the safe interpretation, the one that didn't challenge anything. But then astronomers started comparing the coordinates. Here's where it gets strange. The positions listed on the tablet correspond to real star systems, not random points in the sky, not symbolic placements, actual stars, mapped with a level of precision that required knowledge of three-dimensional space. The Sumerians shouldn't have understood that stars were different distances from Earth. They shouldn't have been able to calculate parallax or depth, but the coordinates on this tablet suggest they did. Even more disturbing, many of these stars are not visible from Earth without advanced magnification.
He's right. He's right, yo. This ain't made up shit. We knew about stars, so we know about Pleiades. There's 7 stars, but you can only see 6. We call those the 7 dancers. That's what we call them, the 7 dancers. How the fuck did we know that? The Dogon, Sirius B, they come from Sirius B. They said there was a second star behind it. science was like, no, they're wrong. They're wrong. Until they fucking got a microscope or telescope power it up to see far enough. And that's what they were like, yeah, yo, they're telling the truth.
Some are in distant regions of our galaxy that we only confirmed existed in the last century. So how did an ancient civilization create an accurate star map of systems they couldn't see, shouldn't have known about, and had no reason to prioritize? When the first peer-reviewed analysis of the star chart tablet was published in 1981, the academic community rejected it almost immediately. The lead researcher, Dr. Werner Stein, was a respected linguist with decades of experience translating Sumerian cuneiform. His credentials were impeccable. His methodology was sound, but the conclusions he reached were too dangerous.
Yeah, yo, look at that, yo. That's cool, yo. That's the galaxy? I heard that they didn't even use this to write down stories or creation stories or anything like this. That they invented writing to keep track of sheep sales and inventory.
He argued that the tablet was...
And it kind of makes sense. Because you need to keep tallies. And you got mad inventory of a farm. You're trying to run a garden. You're going to need to keep tallies of how many seeds. You can't, well, that's those seeds. I'm going to need to create a different type of tally for those kinds of seeds. Oh, well, I got some more seeds. I'm going to have to create a different kind of tally for those kinds of seeds. Hey, everybody! Spam W's in the chat for Rebel with the $5 donation on YouTube. Hey, many Yahwehs to Rebel. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you. Yahweh ne wis owista. Thank you for the $5. But anyway, Yahweh ne wis owista something. Thank you for the $5. Okay, so you got the Anunnaki, you got the Ashkenazi, you got the Anasazi. Are they related? Because Anasazi means ant people. Anunnaki are not insectoids. Those are humanoids, giant humanoids. And that's debatable if they're even giant or not. They could even be our size too. But anyway, Ashkenazi dig tunnels. They dug Darren Kuyu. They've been exiled from all these places, so they had to dig tunnels and hide. Even during World War II, they're digging tunnels. So they hide and they dig tunnels. In Brooklyn, they just got caught digging underground tunnels. People could hear Yiddish underneath their living room or whatever. They're digging tunnels over there. Ashkenazi or Anasazi are ant people that dig underground cities and underground tunnels. They took the Hopi into the middle of Earth to save them from one of the natural cataclysms, maybe once or twice. And then South America, they showed them a picture of a gray and he thought it was an ant. They showed him a picture of a gray alien, a face, and he said, I know this ant. He said that they're bad, yo. They take your spirit underground and you need a powerful wizard or whatever, medicine man, I mean, to get your spirit back or get yourself back, you know? Let's get back to it though.
It's not symbolic. He argued that the Sumerians had been given real astronomical data from an external source. He didn't use the word extraterrestrial in his paper, but the implication was obvious. Within 2 years, Dr. Stein's funding was cut. His university position was quietly eliminated, and the tablet itself was removed from public display, locked away in the restricted archives of the British Museum, where independent researchers cannot access it without clearance that is almost never granted. This is the pattern that repeats over and over in archaeology. When a discovery threatens the accepted narrative, it gets buried. Not destroyed, not disproven, just removed from view.
Hold on, let me soak this in real quick. trying to read it. Yeah, yo, they gotta have a legend. And what I mean by that is a key. They need a key. An alphabet where they write it out and say, means this and this means that. Because that's just random. There's no flow to it. My language that I invented, it's got flow to it. It's got purpose. It's got meaning, and it tells the creation story.
Placed in storage, forgotten. The official explanation given for restricting access to the star chart tablet was preservation concerns. The clay was fragile, the markings were deteriorating. Public display would damage it. Reasonable on the surface, except that dozens of Sumerian tablets in far worse condition remain on permanent display in the same museum. The difference...
See, did you see that one? That one, you can tell what that is. You can definitely tell what that one is. Hold on. Never mind. Oh, fudge. Oh, this one's good. This guy got good stuff. I like this guy's stuff. You guys will like this one. This guy doesn't
excluding Antarctica. The similarities and consistencies among these depictions alone show some kind of connecting line between all of these ancient civilizations. Today I want to take a look at the ones we find in the Americas. North, South, and Central America were thought to be completely isolated.
Look, South America is connected to Antarctica. That's probably the North Pole, too, after they flipped the map. Because they said that there used to be a magnetic mountain at the North Pole, and they called it the Rupus Nigra. That would have been your tree of life, a petrified tree stump after a while. So that there's mountains down Antarctica. Look, there's a shit ton of them. And they also used to call it the land of Jesus and the Garden of Eden.
From European, Asian, and African civilizations until Leif Erikson landed in Canada around 1000 AD. And yet we find depictions of serpents and dragon-like creatures from Canada to South America. We have all seen the depictions of the feathered serpent gods among the Mesoamerican civilizations, and I do want to take a look at some of the more fascinating depictions in Mexico and Central America. But traditions in North and South America also had their versions of these creatures, and left behind a few detailed images and artworks showing us what they believe to have seen. Let's start in North America.
Easy Bijou. It's a cat.
The Ojibwe and other Great Lake regions tribes have a tradition of a creature referred to as an underwater panther or the great lynx. It had the head and paws of a giant cat, but was covered in scales and had dagger-like spikes running along its back and tail. It was said to have inhabited the Great Lakes and many of the waters surrounding them. The creature was extremely hostile and frequently ate people right out of their canoes.
Man walked with dinosaur.
This depiction is located in Ontario near Lake Superior. As you can see, this creature was massive in comparison to the canoe and looks remarkably similar to a dragon, complete with horns, massive backplates, and a powerful tail. This specific glyph also shows giant serpents alongside the dragon-like creature. Here's another depiction of the same creature housed at the Smithsonian. And there's also a mound in Ohio called the Alligator Effigy Mound, mistakenly named that because it was first...
That's not no alligator, yo. I'm sorry. Is that an alligator? That's not no fucking alligator, yo. What the fuck? Yeah, I know. The whole planet pronounces Ohio wrong.
Thought to be an alligator, but later confirmed to be one of these aquatic great lynx creatures. Here are a few other artworks and rock art depicting the same creature located around the Great Lakes region. But these are not the only dragons spoken of in Native American history. There's also the very famous Serpent Mound, also in Ohio.
Ohio.
There's the Carved Stone in Nova Scotia, which looks to have been done by Europeans, possibly Scandinavians who arrived with Leif Erikson and created a settlement.
Oh, look,
Further west, along the Mississippi, artifacts with serpents and feathered gods similar to the Mesoamerican civilizations have been found. Archaeologists call many of these depictions of a bird god.
Why are you on my
But to
lap
me, it
then?
looks more like an Aztec depiction of the feathered serpent
Don't
god,
ever get on my lap
Quetzalcoatl.
again, no.
So I'm not really sure if these were supposed to be birds exactly. A lot of the actual serpents remind me of Aztec and Mayan serpents as well.
Look at that. This is found in mounds here in America. This is found in America right here. I've seen this one before. The hand with the fucking eye on it. Yo, that like goes back to fucking over there, yo. They make claim to that, but it's found over here.
I also found a few Mississippian artifacts that show the serpent in an Ouroboros symbol, with the tail in the mouth of the creature. This is something we can mysteriously...
The Ouroboros symbol is the snake eating itself, eating its tail.
...find all over the world, including one on a temple in Mexico known as the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, which I believe is Toltec. We find this type of serpent creature all over Mexico and into Central America with the Mayans and Olmec. Some of these are super detailed and incredible to look at. Every Mesoamerican culture depicted these similar creatures and believed them to be associated with the gods. The unique feature in these civilizations' depictions is, of course, the feather feature. Other than that, we see huge similarities to other dragons and serpents depicted in ancient cultures.
That symbol, too. You know what that symbol is, right? Put it in the chat.
Across the world. If you haven't watched my video comparing Mesoamerican dragons to Chinese and Asian dragons, I recommend you watch that. I'll put that up in the cards and below in the description. So finally we come to South America. When we think of cultures in South America, the first that come to mind is definitely the Inca. The Inca have a mythological creature similar to the dragon they called Amaru. Oddly enough, some say was the namesake for the entire continent, America, or Amaruca, meaning the land of the great serpent. Much like many other cultures' descriptions of dragons, it was said to be a chimera-like creature, having the head of a bird, puma, or llama, and condor wings, a snake's body, a fish tail, and coated in crocodilian scales. Amaru symbolizes the water that runs through the irrigation canals, rivers, and springs that makes it possible for the seeds and crops to be transformed into vegetables. It is also related to the underworld, the earth, and earthquakes. According to the myths, Amarus have a protective or destructive behavior. There's a myth...
Yo, I'm gonna give you guys the truth. We're definitely a dragon bloodline. North, South, Asia, even Aboriginals in Polynesia, we're all of this dragon serpent bloodline. Everybody that lives on the Ring of Fire. That's why our men, they wear that mohawk. They're paying homage to Left Hand because he had the flint mohawk. That's what killed his mother during childbirth. He had a spike of mohawks, like a reptilian almost. And they said he had this flint all over his skin, like scales, yo. Come on, y'all. And they wear the mohawk, and he had a flint mohawk. Come on.
Called Amaru Aranwe. That was about two powerful Amarus fighting against each other.
Yeah, yo. So science proves what I'm saying right too, because you have three parts of your brain. You have your sapien, you have your mammal, or you have your primate, you have your mammal, and you have your reptilian. You have a reptilian part of your brain. Native Americans also have extraterrestrial DNA. That could be the pointy head. It could be the reptilian. But we might be descendants of reptilian hybrids. We are what we are now. You're a hybrid still, but a descendant of reptilian hybrids that mated with dragons, yo. But that's what even the elites try to say that. All the people that are powerful try to say they're of these bloodlines. Probably because they know like who these people are. These are like the bringers of civilization, languages. The most languages are over here. The most languages ever are here in the Americas, North and South. There's over 2,500 different languages altogether. That means that this was the starting point. The migration happened in reverse. People started in Central or South America and they walked north and out of the Americas. Asians come from us.
It says Viracocha sent the gods of lightning and wind to defeat them. The Tuamaros tried to fight the gods, but then they escaped, flying back to the skies. But the wind god dragged them back to the earth with the power of the wind, and the lightning god fought and put the final blow to them. When the Tuamaros died, they fell to the earth and turned into the chain of mountains that are located in Valley del Montaro, Peru. However, this creature predated the Inca and can be found in art from earlier cultures as well.
Whatever.
Here are some ruins found in northern Peru of the Moche civilization. They are dated somewhere around 100 to 800 AD and show clear images of serpent-like dragons and faces that could be the face of a dragon-like creature.
Looks like a lion.
Then we have the much older sites of the Chauvin civilization, existing from 1200 BC to around 400 BC in Peru.
But you know what?
These ones are
dragons and cats are related. Cats farm cats are probably descendants of Misi Bejus. That's a underwater lynx. We got Sky Panther too. That sounds like Quetzalcoatl. And even the red dragons in Asia, all their snake body, lion head, or tiger head. The dragons over there, they got whiskers.
Absolutely incredible and show dragon images that look like something found in China or Japan, and some that look like the heads of dragons at the Pyramid of Quetzalcoatl at Teotihuacan. And then at the famous site of Tiwanaku, where we find the mysterious H blocks, there's a large gate depicting the creator god Viracocha, and surrounding him is his fleet of what some have concluded to be dragon creatures. And if you look closely enough, you can see the resemblance to those found in North and Central America. Alright, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out the Patreon. It's only $3 if you haven't yet. See you later.
Here we go. We'll check this one out. This will open your guys' eyes.
All around the world, ancient people spoke of mysterious creatures that once roamed the earth. Giants, serpents, cryptids, and all sorts of terrifying beasts were said to exist. From all corners of the globe, we find these sorts of myths and legends. And many from opposite sides of the world have eerily similar details in the monsters they depict. Dragons are among these beasts of mythology and ancient stories. The dragon is a creature that has been common among ancient writings and art since the beginning of man in the various cradles of civilization. The Sumerians and later Babylonians depicted dragons as gods, and also as giant serpents. In the ancient Indian text, a dragon appears as a human-like demigod known as Vitra, who held back the great waters until his death. We also find depictions of dragons in Europe, the Americas, Eastern Asia, Australia, and all over Africa too. But there are two of these places in particular that I wanted to focus on today. We can trace many similarities across all these cultures through dragon and serpent depictions, but two of them specifically show signs of contact, and a similar tradition going back to the earliest recorded histories. So early that many scholars write it all off as pure mythology. These two cultures are ancient China and the Mesoamerican people, especially the early Mayan and Olmec. The Chinese mythologies go back long before recorded Mayan and Olmec civilization, but I believe there could have been some kind of a migration to the Americas, or possibly the ancient Chinese civilization was so great and large, it extended all across the world at one time. There There are many similarities in culture and traditions outside of dragons, one of which being the huge pyramids both of these cultures built. The Mesoamerican pyramids are well known and date back to the earliest peoples in Mexico and Central America, while the Chinese pyramids are lesser known, but just as numerous and spectacular. Many are off limits to tourists, but the ones we can see are very impressive and often contain intricate burials. An example being the massive terracotta army figures that guard the pyramid tomb of the Emperor Qin Shi Huang of the Qin dynasty.
Hey, thank you.
According to Chinese mythology, the Yellow Emperor had a dream in which he saw a divine dragon that left a deep impression on him. The dragon in his dream was said to be a magnificent creature with a long, sinuous body covered in shimmering scales, sharp claws, and a fiery breath that could light up the sky. The dragon was also said to have 5 claws, which were a symbol of the emperor's authority and power. It's believed that only the emperor and his immediate family were allowed to use the 5-clawed dragon in their art and decorations. In the Chinese histories, dragons are often depicted as creatures with a body of a snake or serpent and the head of a lion or tiger. They were considered to be auspicious creatures that brought good fortune and prosperity.
And you know what that means? The lion or tiger head with the snake body? That's the demiurge or Yaldabaoth from Gnosticism now. So you see how it's all connected, how the original is in the Americas and people walked out, and by the time people got to that side of the world, our teachings had turned into Gnosticism. Gnosticism is the collection of all ancient teachings mixed into one.
They were also believed to have control over the elements, including water, fire, earth, and air, and were often associated with the rain and the sea. The dragon's fiery breath was believed to represent the power of the emperor to control the weather and create rain, which was essential for agriculture and the survival of the people. The dragon's association with the emperor and his authority was so strong that in ancient China only the emperor was allowed to wear the color yellow, the color of the imperial dragon. Commoners were forbidden to use this color, and anyone caught wearing yellow could face severe punishment. The Yellow Emperor, also known as Huang Di, is a legendary figure in Chinese history and mythology, who's believed to have ruled over China around 2700 BC. According to legend, he was one of the 5 emperors who ruled during ancient times in China. The Yellow Emperor was said to have played a pivotal role in the development of Chinese culture and society. He's credited with inventing many technologies and cultural practices that are still used in China today, including acupuncture, the Chinese calendar, and the writing systems. One of the most famous legends associated with this emperor is the creation of the dragon. According to legend, the Yellow Emperor had a dream in which a divine dragon appeared to him. The dragon was so magnificent that it left a deep impression on him. He became obsessed with the idea of creating a dragon of his own. To bring his dream to life, the Yellow Emperor enlisted the help of his courtiers and artisans.
That's one of the
Together
ones
they
I
created
rode. The one I rode, so I had a dream where I rode one like that, and it was made of mirrors, though, shiny, and I was riding it, yo.
Out of clay and wood, painstakingly sculpting each scale and feature by hand. When the dragon was finished, the Yellow Emperor breathed life into it, and it sprang to life, soaring into the sky.
Did he breathe 3 breaths?
Over time, the dragon became an important part of Chinese culture, appearing in art, literature, and mythology.
Sorry to break it to y'all, the dragon resembles the sun, aka sun.
The emperors even believed that they were descended from dragons themselves, and that dragons would protect and assist them in ruling the empire. One of the earliest depictions of these creatures in Chinese mythology can be traced back to the Shang dynasty, 1600 to 1046 BC, when dragons were associated with water and rain, and were believed to be responsible for creating rivers and lakes.
Grand Canyon.
In the Mesoamerican traditions, dragons are depicted as feathered serpent gods, and were worshipped by several ancient cultures.
Feathered serpent. That's a fucking dinosaur right there. Man walked with dinosaur. Even in the Americas, in mounds, you find figurines of man riding on fucking dinosaurs and a stegosaurus and all that. You find rock art and hieroglyphics and paintings of fucking dinosaurs. Then you got feathered serpents. Listen, native history and native teaching and native knowledge is the foundation to modern day science. When did they discover dinosaurs had serpents or feathers? When did modern day science discover that dinosaurs had feathers? Mid.
science discovered that dinosaurs had feathers starting in the mid-1990s. A key finding
In the mid-1990s, they discovered, I'm telling you, indigenous teachings and culture is the foundation to modern day science. Natives already knew that way before 1990. Way before fucking 1990, we knew that the dinosaurs had fucking feathers. The feathered serpent, a dragon. Come on.
Cultures in Central America, including the Aztec, Maya, Toltec, Zapotec, and Olmec. This deity is also known by several different names in these cultures, such as Quetzalcoatl among the Aztecs and Kukulkan among the Maya. These gods were often depicted as a serpent with feathers, hence the name. This deity was associated with various aspects of life, including fertility, agriculture, wisdom, and creation. In some cultures, the feathered serpent was also linked to the planet Venus, and was considered a symbol of both the morning and evening star. The mythology surrounding the feathered serpent gods varies among different cultures. In Aztec mythology, Quetzalcoatl was a civilizing figure who taught the Aztecs various arts and skills, including agriculture, medicine, and the calendar. According to the legend, he also helped create the current iteration of the world, and was believed to have ascended to the heavens in a spectacular display of light. In Maya mythology, Kukulkan was associated with the feathered serpent, as well as with the wind and water. He was also believed to have played a role in creation and was associated with the sun and
the wind and water. Kukulkan was a god associated with the wind and water. What is that? That's a storm god. That's a storm god right there. And you know who else was a storm god?
planet Venus. The Olmec civilization is considered one of the earliest Mesoamerican cultures.
There's that fucking Birkin. There's that Birkin bag right there, that Louis bag. And he's wearing a fucking spacesuit. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, yo, he's riding a fucking dragon or something.
And they also had a deity associated with the feathered serpent. This deity was known as the were-jaguar, or were-jaguar.
Look at his hands. He's got hands coming out of his chest like he's from India.
Serpent, and is depicted as a combination of a jaguar and a serpent. The were-jaguar deity was a significant figure in Olmec mythology and art, and it was often depicted on Olmec monuments, figurines, and other artifacts. The Olmec believed that this deity had the power to transform into both a jaguar and a serpent, and it was associated with agriculture, fertility, and...
Yo, they still got people like that today down there. People that can turn themselves into jaguar. Yeah, yo. Like, I'm telling you, yo. They descend from that original, that first age people that didn't mix with nobody. They're still down running wild, living by the original instructions in the garden down there. Yeah, yo, they were the ones that were made first, that they made a little too strong. Or in the second age, they made them a little too strong, add a little bit too much stardust. They gave them too much sight and too much hearing, and they probably mastered it, yo. So now they have superpowers, and they know how to fucking transform themselves into jaguars. This is a real practice down there. There's actual Native Americans are like X-Men. Yo, you are like X-Men. You have a power within you that the other people don't, yo. That's why they can't get rid of us, yo. That's why people are gravitating towards our stuff. You know how... Listen, I'm going to state the obvious. Everybody in America races to the nearest fucking DNA test as they can to find out how much native they got in them. You don't see no Native American racing to the nearest DNA test to find out how much white or black they got in them. That's just the facts. I'm sorry. You guys like my run there?
and warfare. The were-jaguar deity was also associated with rulership. and it was often depicted as a regal figure wearing a headdress and other ornate regalia.
That's the Olmec right there. Isn't it funny when they fucking people that look like fucking how they look say that they're the Olmecs, and then you look at all the Olmec statues and they look like that? I'm sorry, what happened to his big nose and big lips?
Some scholars believe that the Olmec ruler was seen as a living embodiment of the were-jaguar deity, and that ruler's power was linked to this deity's ability to transform and control the natural forces. Does that sound familiar to you? I'm sure you've already noticed a few similarities between these Chinese and Mesoamerican dragons, even just looking at some of the images. But I want to show you a few more and point out a few more things. As we may already know, many Mesoamerican dragons are often shown coiled up in a pattern of right angles. We also see this with much of their lines and stylistic decorations as well. And we also find this in Chinese dragons. The entire shape and movement of these creatures would have been the same as the Chinese dragons as it was in America.
No, I haven't been to the pyramids in Mexico. I went to the ones in Egypt, though.
We also see similar claws in some of them. Chinese dragons always have the iconic lion paw-like hands with huge claws. And many of these Mesoamerican feathered serpents have this detail too. But the most impressive similarities are the heads of these creatures. In Chinese art, they have very detailed heads with demon-like eyes, horns, manes around their face, huge nostrils, and those large teeth. In Mesoamerican depictions, the serpents have these same features. The huge heads with detailed eyes, horns, some kind of feathered mane around their heads, a long, slender body, the same nose and nostrils, and the teeth look so similar. The way they curl back and hook inward is the exact same in Chinese and Mesoamerican depictions. It seems to me that either these cultures had contact at some point, or they were depicting real dragons that roamed the earth in our very ancient past.
Hey, thank you for the roses. Appreciate you. Don't know how to say your name. Sorry. Thank you for the flowers, though. For the Scott Sky on Mount something. Now, for 11 flowers. Scott Sky on Mount something.
I also have some other artifacts to show you. It seems that the most ancient Chinese artifacts are the ones that look the most similar to Mesoamerican. There are ancient Chinese masks that date back as far as 1600 BC that look similar to masks in Central America.
Elongated skull. Pointy head. I don't like that one.
Many of them are even made out of the same material, jade. And jade was very prized and sought after in both China and Mesoamerica. But some of these Mesoamerican masks look Chinese, in the way the ears are shaped as well as the eyes and eyebrows, but especially that rectangular long ear shape.
Yeah, yo. This one reminds me of totem pole face.
Some even have earrings in the same fashions. It's so eerie. Another detail I came across that's
He's got a goatee too. You see what I mean? Natives aren't all the way hairless.
Interesting is on the steps of the pyramid of Kukulkan, the Mayan feathered serpent god. There's a serpent whose head is at the bottom of the steps, and on the equinox the sun will hit the steps in such a way that it looks like the serpent is descending down the pyramid. In China, at the Forbidden City, on one of the main stairways we see a depiction of two dragons descending down the steps, and the temple even slightly resembles the step pyramids. Many have also compared Chinese and Mayan calendars. I want to read you a short article from Ancient Origins about an archaeologist who studied these similarities. It reads as follows. Ancient Mayan and Chinese calendar systems share so many similarities. It's unlikely they developed independently, according to the late David H. Kelly, whose paper on the subject was published posthumously. Kelly was a Harvard-educated archaeologist and epigrapher at the University of Calgary in Canada. He earned fame in the 1960s for major contributions towards deciphering the Mayan script. His article titled Asian Components in the Invention of the Mayan Calendar was written 30 years ago, but was only recently published for the first time in the journal Pre-Columbiana. In 1980, a major science journal had solicited the article, said Pre-Columbiana's editor, Dr. Stephen Jett, but Jett said the editors rejected it as being overly documented for the journal's spare format, understandably for so revolutionary an effort. Dave did not wish to weaken the documentation, and he never published the piece elsewhere. Jett obtained Kelly's permission to publish it before he died. The hypothesis Kelly presented is controversial. He said that the calendars indicate contact between Eurasia and Mesoamerica more than 1,000 years ago, contradicting mainstream archaeology's understanding that such a contact occurred for the first time only a few hundred years ago. Kelly supported the controversial theory of early transoceanic contact in general. It is a theory that has many other contact occurred for
Sky, Dick, Nissan, Gay, Weez, Ye, Jada, Dayon, Don. What's saying? Sky, Dick, Nissan. There's only 12. There's only 12. What the fuck? Let's look something up real quick. And 13 moon calendar. Yeah, see what I mean? Okay, so let's see. They got a 13 moon calendar. Yeah, they got a 13 moon calendar. Look, they got the Haudenosaunee one too. Or, no, that's Ojibwe. Oh, look, we're watching this guy right now. We're watching that guy right now.
For the first time, only a few hundred years ago.
We'll watch
Kelly
that
supported the
13 moon
controversial
calendar
theory
next.
of early transoceanic contact in general. It is a theory that has many other academic proponents that Pre-Columbiana specializes in exploring. The similarities in the calendar systems is only part of the growing body of evidence for early contact. Kelly also isn't the only one to have noticed the similarities
It's because they descend from us.
between the calendar systems.
The migration happened in reverse. Everybody started in the Americas and descended from Asians that walked out. Asians are Native Americans that walked out of the Americas.
But given his authority as an expert on Mayan history, his analysis is a pillar on which to base further study. Another researcher who coincidentally has the same name but with a different middle initial, David B. Kelly, has used a computer program to further analyze the similarities between the two calendar systems. David B. Kelly is an East Asian linguist at Showa Women's University in Tokyo. His paper titled Comparing Chinese and Mesoamerican Calendar Dates was published in the recent issue of Pre-Columbiana. In both calendar systems, the days are associated with various elements, water, fire, earth, and so on, and animals. While the various associations don't line up perfectly between the two systems, they do frequently correspond. Some of the differences may be accounted by changes over time. The same root calendar systems may have been tweaked by each culture in different ways. We'll explore only a couple of the similarities mentioned by Kelly and David B. Kelly as examples. The same days in the Mayan and Chinese calendars are associated with the deer and the dog and the monkey. Other days also closely match, though the correspondence is not exact. For example, one day is associated with the jaguar in the Mayan calendar, but the tiger in the Chinese. Another is associated with the crocodile in the Mayan, but the dragon in the Chinese. The associations may essentially be the same, though the specific manifestations may differ based on local fauna or lore. Old world domesticates such as the horse, sheep, cow, and pig.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's the same over here. So Haudenosaunee creation stories differ per territory, community, tribe, or nation. Like even clan. So you got people that tell creation story, they say the muskrat went down and gave his life to give dirt from the bottom to put it on the back of Turtle Island. But people from the Beaver clan say it was a beaver that did it. So you see how Chinese, their thing is the dragon, so they said it was the dragon. It probably was crocodile. And then it was like, no, it's a dragon.
Are also missing from the Mayan calendar. Another example of the similarity between Mesoamerican Chinese calendars is the combined symbolism of the rabbit and the moon. The Aztec Day 8 rabbit was ruled by Mayahuel, goddess of the moon, and of the intoxicating cactus drink pulque, Kelly wrote. Representations of the rabbit and the moon are first seen in Mesoamerica around the 6th century AD. Pictures of the rabbit and the moon pounding out the elixir of immortality are Chinese favorites, first appearing in Han China in the 1st century BC, or slightly earlier. Kelly concluded that the animal names in the Mayan calendar system are clearly derived from a prototypical form of a Eurasian expanded list. The Chinese system also corresponds to this Eurasian list. Across the ancient Old World, calendar systems intermingled. Kelly thus looked at Greek, Indian, and other systems as examples of how calendars in different cultures may have similar roots, but take on only slightly different forms. This helped him understand the similarities and differences between the Chinese and Mayan calendars, and to infer that they both ultimately have the same source and did not develop independently. It also shows where the elements of the Mayan calendar diverge from the Chinese, although they may still align with other Eurasian systems, supporting the theory of early contact. David B. Kelly used the computer program Intercal, developed by Caltech astronomer Dennis Elliott, to find matches between the Mayan day associations and the Chinese elements of fire, water, earth, metal, and wood. At first, he didn't find any matches for these elements, though he did find correlations in animal associations, as the previous Kelly did. But when he slightly tweaked the parameters of this comparison, he found a lot more overlap. Some background explanation is necessary here. The start date of the Mayan calendar has been a matter of debate. No one knows for sure when it started, though it's commonly held that it began August 11, 3114 BC. David B. Kelly started with this assumption and found 9 matches between the two systems within any given 60-day period, all related to day names and animal associations. But then he tried shifting the start date slightly. When he shifted it by 4 days to August 7th, 3114 BC, the matches increased from 9 to 30 within a 60-day period, and the matches included the elements. The accuracy of his comparison has some limitations aside from the tweak in the start date. Elliott warned that his program would become increasingly less accurate the further back in time one used it to analyze dates. Yet David B. Kelly wrote, in spite of the lack of a solid match, the possibility of some sort of systematical relationship between the certain Mesoamerican day names and both the Chinese heavenly stems, elements, and earthly branches, animal associations, is tantalizing to say the least. If, indeed, it can be demonstrated that there's a reasonable degree of relevance for the idea that the Mesoamerican calendar system may be related, even in some minor way, to the Chinese calendar system, then an opportunity to test the Mesoamerican calendrical calculations against a known system, i.e. the Chinese, becomes available, he said. That's not to mention the implications for ancient contact between the old world and the new. Kelly had a...
Hell yeah, yo, that's pretty good though. Guys, I think it's getting pretty late for me. It's a full moon tonight. Hey, you can see the moon from my room. Hold on. It's hidden. But it's right there. You guys could see it. But I'm gonna call it a night, guys. It's getting pretty late for me. We'll be up tomorrow, though. It was a good live. Learned a lot. No, this isn't in my playlist. But I'll catch y'all later, alright? Eskunge, until we meet again. Peace. Hit the cash app. Later.